what's going on, everybody? I am. Oh, that's right. Well, what's going on, everybody? We got a new setup. It's season 2. We're back for season 2.
Season 2.
Did you think we'd be back for a season 2?
I did.
You did.
I knew you were going to definitely have us come back for a season 2.
Well, I just, I love a good series. And so,
right.
You got to have a good season, and then you got to follow it up with even a better season.
Yeah, I agree.
Last season was pretty good. So I feel like it's a little bit of pressure to have a season that's just as good as the last season.
I definitely do feel the pressure. I agree.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you? No pressure. No pressure. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
So welcome to the Thrive City podcast. This is season 2. Man, we're back with another season, and I'm excited because this season we're going to switch it up a little bit. Last season we talked about updates from being a church plant and plants in the church and launch day and all the stuff that went into that, and then we would give a vibe and a value.
Right.
So don't let vibe scare you. We're not a new agey church. Vibe is just the way that the atmosphere makes you feel.
Right.
And so we did all of our vibes and values, and we ended with legacy is our responsibility. And so this season, and I kind of actually didn't tell you what the season was going to be about.
Oh.
No, remember like last episode of last season, I was like, you know what? We're going to do the next season on relationships.
Okay.
And you was like, okay. So this season, we're going to be doing a update podcast to let you know where we are in the church planning experience. It is a journey. At the time of this recording, we're about 6-7 months.
Not
see
6,
what I did
7.
there? My kids are gonna love that one. 6-7 months old as a church. So we're gonna give you all of the juicy details, the tea about what's been going on at Thrive City Church.
It's some good tea too.
It's some good tea. I mean, like that chamomile.
Chamomile. Okay, I was thinking you were gonna go more like Chick-fil-A iced tea.
Oh, you was going with the unhealthy tea.
I mean, okay, it does have a lot of sugar in it, but
so we're gonna give you all the tea, but then we're also going to give you episodes that deal specifically with relationships.
I
So
feel like
before
you're supposed to cue like a R&B song right there.
that would be that forever, my lady. That's the first thing that came to my mind.
I know. See, I know you so well.
But before we jump into, you be distracted me. Before we jump into today's podcast, we always gotta have a question of the pod.
Question of the pod.
Now, we don't ever tell each other what the question is going to be.
I'm a little nervous because you've had a couple of months off, and so that could have been allowing you time to get something like really juicy and good brewing. And it could be an opportunity for you to like come for me because I came for you last season. Last
season, you came for me. If y'all didn't watch last season, just watch the questions that she asked me. It was very, I don't even know how I feel about it. I'm still asking the Lord to do with my heart.
They were good questions, y'all. It was questions y'all want to know.
No, it's questions.
Actually, that would be something cool to do. What if we had y'all put questions that they want to ask us, and that could be the question of the pod that we do for this season also.
Oh, that's good. I like that idea. So listen, on the YouTube, in the comments, make sure you put questions in the comments, and we'll answer your questions this season. I actually like that.
Yeah, come with some good ones. Some good ones.
But today, I'm going to ask my question. It's not that bad of a question. It's actually more of a serious question, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, it is. You don't want a serious question?
No, I didn't want a serious question.
Okay, that's okay. I got one in my back pocket.
All
right,
boy.
You ready?
Yeah.
So if you were a Disney princess, what Disney princess would you be? And then what Disney character would I be?
That's a great question.
You see what I did out right on
I feel
the
like
spot.
I'm a little biased because one of my favorite Disney movies is The Little Mermaid.
Right.
So I think I probably would choose that one.
Okay.
Maybe because she was on a journey of like really wanting to become who she believed she was supposed to be.
Oh, you're gonna preach this? Okay, no, I see what you're doing.
Preach
here.
it.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, that's because I feel like that's kind of I know that's all of our journeys, but I think specifically speaking for myself, that it's always been a place where I've struggled. So it was like, you know how she talks about how in the song and she sings, I want to be where the people are.
Yeah.
And what she wanted to see and what she wanted to experience. And she was allowing that desire, an uneducated desire, to shape this perspective about herself.
Come on.
That what she believed that she wanted to be a part of. But then when she got to be a part of that, she realized that it wasn't exactly what she wanted. But she found out how she could be that, being herself in that environment once, you know, she became a human and all the things had legs and all the things.
Yeah.
So I probably would choose Little Mermaid. I probably would choose Ariel.
Got it.
Yeah.
Almost, you know, you feel like we would get canceled if we did like a Disney series?
What do you mean?
Like if we did a series at the church where it was about all the different things that people want, like as a Disney character, and then they realize at some one point, like, it ain't what it's cracked up to be. And then they realize they kind of go back to this place of really being centered with a principle that usually is something that they needed, but they walked away from because they thought they wanted something else. I feel like we could do it, but we may get canceled.
Why would we get canceled? People may
you know,
be
like,
mad.
you know, Disney is not a god. You know,
there may be some like rotten tomatoes and rotten lettuce spirits in the house because you're ruining people's Disney experiences.
That's possible. That is very possible.
I don't know, but of course, I'm sure you're super creative. I'm sure you'd find a way.
I could
to do a Disney series.
Yeah, that's good. I might put that on the back burner. All right, so
what was the other part of the question?
The other part of the question was, what character would I be?
What character would?
Come on, give me somebody buff. Come on,
Hercules.
Hercules. Come on.
That's
Come
so
on.
great.
Come on. Who am I?
Let's see. The first person that comes to mind is Aladdin. Though.
Come on. Was a street rat. I don't know if I like that part.
That's great. I mean, you know, he was a diamond in the rough. He was called a street rat by the enemy.
Okay.
So you can't let the enemy
tell
you what your identity is and speak lies to
Yeah.
you. You have to believe, you know, who you truly are, and you're a diamond in the rough.
Come on.
You know.
And then I take you on magic carpet rides to show you the world.
Switch this and made it about us.
Well, yeah, of course. Because if I'm Aladdin, you got to be Jasmine for that part.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So that's the Disney princess I actually am is Jasmine.
Yeah, that's the Disney princess you would be for me.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Definitely Aladdin. Though.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Aladdin could sing. I feel you.
He
could
sing.
dress too. You know, he was looking fly. Okay. I could be Aladdin.
Yeah. Then he started feeling himself too, though. So I mean, I'm just saying.
I mean, there's some times where you told me I was feeling myself, so this might be accurate.
Okay.
Yeah. He had to be humbled.
Yeah. He did.
All right. So Ariel, Aladdin, Princess Jasmine.
Princess Jasmine.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen. All right. So a lot has happened since November of last year. That was our last podcast episode. So I kind of want to just start with pastoring a church plant is no easy feat.
It is not.
Last season.
It is not, y'all. It's not easy.
It ain't.
Don't let nobody fool you and tell you it's easy.
Yeah. Don't do this because you like, I think it's just a good idea to plant a church. It's like, it's not a good idea. You got to be a little bit crazy. A little bit obsessive at times with just wanting people to know Christ. But with this journey, last season we talked about all things leading up to the launch and then right after the launch. So now we've kind of been in the groove, in the game for about 6 months now. 4 months since the last podcast episode. So I want to start here because I feel like you always start with the good stuff. So what has been your highlights since November, last 4 months? What has just like really stuck out to you? Like, man, look at God's faithfulness. Look at what God is doing. What's been your highlights?
Gosh. I think the first thing that comes to mind is probably when we did our PF 21. We did 21 days of prayer and fasting. That probably has to be one of the major highlights. I got to see both sides too. I got to see like the behind the scenes with like the leadership team and the team we, cultivated and put together for the prayer team. How we had the Wednesday night prayers on Zoom. or actually they were every night. It was
Yeah.
for 21 days we did a prayer, except on the weekends, on
Right.
Saturdays and Sundays. So that by far was absolutely a highlight. Being able to see, number one, people step up to the plate and lead prayer.
Yeah.
Like that was huge. Like I'm sure, people say like one of their worst fears is public speaking. That's probably
Right.
one of the number one worst fears that people
Right.
have. So seeing people step up to the plate to do that was amazing. And they did such a great job.
Yeah.
Like everybody
Shout out to the
did a
team.
great job. And it's like, well, how are you rating people's prayers? But it's something about having to create an atmosphere that people can feel like they can engage in prayer
Yeah.
and to do it on Zoom.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, I know we went through COVID and everybody was used to Zoom and stuff
Right.
like that, but it wasn't like, you don't got the band behind you playing the music
Yeah.
and how in movies, how like that just makes those scenes
Yeah.
way better when the music is playing behind you.
I usually will stop us and I'll be like, can you imagine this scene without music right now? Like the music just pulled me in. Like
Right.
I care. And I
Right.
don't know why I care because it's a script. But that music, when it hit, you be like, oh.
Yeah. Makes you feel all the
please don't.
feels.
Yes.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I think seeing them step to the plate for that, like really, the bar was set in a way. I think they feel like that because they're like, okay, our pastors are the one who usually like, lead the prayer and do all the things like that. But they did such a great job.
Yeah.
And just to hear the testimonies from those 21 days was amazing, was awesome too. Just seeing how God was showing up in people's lives. People who said they never fasted before.
I love that.
Then people sharing stories about, the struggles that were coming with it. Like the enemy was attempting to get people to stop fasting and stop praying and just give up, but they kept persevering and pressing. And that was just really amazing to hear. So absolutely, PF21 was totally a highlight.
Yeah.
It was a highlight for myself too. Chose kind of a little bit of different way of fasting and just hearing what God was speaking and what he was doing. It was a different experience from the sense of, I think I expected to hear God a little bit more than I did, but the experience definitely showed me something about myself or the capability I had to make it through when I wasn't getting what I was expecting to get from God through the
good.
journey.
And I think the point that you make there is important because I think we can get so obsessed, and I'm going to say it this way, we can get so obsessed with experiencing God in a specific way that when God doesn't show up that way, we can connect it to God not being present.
Yeah.
When the truth is that sometimes I believe that God will put us in a position where he will speak to us differently because he doesn't want us to get settled with one way of experiencing him.
Yeah.
And so God is multifaceted. And so, we can sometimes like have the fireworks. There's been times where it's like been fireworks in prayer. And then there have been seasons where I'm like, okay, are you here? But I think sometimes, I heard John Bevere once say that sometimes God will withdraw his presence to create more of an appetite. And I was like, that's a great perspective to have because sometimes when we look at withdrawing from something, we can look at it like maybe God is mad at me or maybe God is upset with me or something of that nature. He doesn't hear me. But the perspective that John Bevere gave was more of a sense of like, no, that's when you press in because what he's doing is he's moving the line to get you to come closer.
Yeah.
And so I've always tried to take that mentality of like when there are times that I don't hear God, haven't experienced God, that I just press in more.
Yeah.
Press in more.
Yeah. I had a conversation with someone about how when we went through that 21 days, like it was like really exciting because you're like believing God and you have this list of things that you're going to be praying over. And, we had our prayer points and all the things and seeing all the people show up and you're fasting and you're making it through the fast. And then now with
Your
where we're
breath
at.
stink.
Oh,
Go ahead. I'm
gosh.
sorry.
Of course you
Yeah.
have to bring
Yep,
that up.
I'm sorry.
I mean, it's true though.
It is.
It's true.
It is.
But and then we're in what month are we in? March. We're in March. I had to think about that. Look, I told y'all church planting is not easy.
It ain't.
You forgetting what month you're in, what day it is. But we're now in March, and when what the person I was talking to, what she was sharing with me, she was like, now it just seems like it kind of died down and it's like, where's the excitement and, where's all the fireworks? Where's all that, that hope that you have and stuff like that. And so as we talked more, I felt like I got revelation about that where God was like, yeah, well, it's the whole seed time and harvest aspect where it was like during prayer, those 21 days, we were planting seeds.
Yeah.
We're praying and we're believing that God is going to do some things. And some of the things happened immediately while we were in the 21 days, but other things didn't. And so it was kind of like, she was like, yeah, we're in that space where we're looking at the ground and we're like, waiting for those things to sprout up.
Yeah.
And she was like, of course that's not exciting. And of course there's not this like, you know, the fireworks going off. It's like, we're like, okay, when is the shoot going to come up through the ground?
Right.
And you're sitting there waiting. And she's like, what she realized, I shouldn't just be sitting here staring at the ground waiting for it to sprout up. There are other things I can still be inserting my faith or believing God for, or still praying for, or still, you know, being active in. So that just really connected to the highlight of 21 days of prayer and fasting. So that was just a great time. And I see the overflow of it even in this time now that we're in.
What comes to mind is the message that we did for the Thrive series to start the year, where we were talking about like that waiting seasons are usually preparation seasons.
Yeah.
And I brought soil onto the stage and
You did.
planted some seeds and
Whole bunch of soil, y'all.
whole bunch of soil. And you know, I'm down on the ground and I'm looking like I just planted the seed and I'm like, where's my harvest?
Yeah.
And we're waiting for it to happen immediately. But the Bible's very clear that as long as the earth remains, there will be seed, there's going to be time, and then there's going to be harvest.
Yeah.
And what we do with the time is extremely important.
It really is.
The fast definitely was a highlight for me as well, probably for the same reasons, but then just an added reason was that I lost 21 pounds during the
21
the
pounds.
fast, and I think you lost like 20 something pounds as well.
I did.
Equaling out to like 40 pounds for you on this journey of losing
Amen.
weight. So I just wanted to give you a shout out
Thank
because
you.
I know you've been working hard. You looking good, girl. Snatched.
Thank you. No.
Come on.
Thank you. I appreciate the affirmation and the recognition.
Yes. Highlight for me, you say this all the time, but like just the stories of transformation that we continue to hear, the text messages we get throughout the week, the conversations after church, people bringing people. I mean, one of the great things is like a lot of our teenagers, like I'll look up and they brought 3 or 4 people from their school.
Yeah.
And that's saying something when your church doesn't have a youth ministry. They're in the main sanctuary with the adults, and they're bringing their friends to that service. That's letting you know that there's relevance that they even see with what's being taught. And I think one of the things we've kind of established as a marker for us is that we value the deepness of the Bible. Like we do.
Yeah.
We do. We love it. You know, there's things you'll talk to me about, like what you're doing right now. I always get it wrong. The Bible department,
With
and it goes in deep.
Dr. Manny Aranga.
And it's deep. It's deeper. But I can just appreciate sometimes when people say, I came in and I understood everything that was being said.
Yeah.
That sometimes we can get, and I'm not coming for nobody, but we can get so churchy. We can get so caught up with the church lingo that someone who comes from the outside, they're like, what language are y'all speaking? Like, I don't know what that word was. You can't just say Jesse and his sons. They looking down the street like Jesse to live down the street. Like, you have to say who these people are.
Yeah.
And so we've been intentional about making sure that we speak to 3 seats in the room. That's the unbeliever, the new believer, and the mature believer.
Yep.
And so we take time to bring in the unbeliever to say, like, hey, even if you don't believe like we believe, we're talking about a principle that is universal for every single person. And that's how we draw them into that moment. New believers, it's like, hey, feed my sheep, not my giraffes.
Right.
You know, and it's like sometimes we're putting stuff so high on the shelf that people who are just coming in are like, I can't even obtain that because it's too high for where I'm at. So we try to do our best to do that, and just hearing mature believers say, man, I'm learning, I'm relearning things. I'm having to go back to the word. I've never seen that scripture that way. But then seeing new believers like, man, I'm growing in my faith, and seeing many unbelievers say, man, this is like the first time going to a church that I understood what was being said in the message, and I could really connect. And so I think that's probably been one of my favorite things to see. One of my highlights is just the transformation that's happening on all 3 of those levels.
Yeah. I think I really like, you talked about the unbeliever, as we've been teaching, and just different things that we've been hearing from them. Is like, wow, that's in the Bible.
Right.
Like that story actually exists in the Bible. And like, y'all, the Bible ain't for the faint of heart.
Come on. It's not.
Some great stories in the Bible.
Yeah.
And then they're just their ability to relate and connect. I think that's a big thing, where they're able to find themselves and connect themselves to, okay, all right, well, I see myself in this situation. And, you know, because the Bible absolutely can be a mirror that's put up. And we are supposed to see ourselves in just the places that we need to make adjustments and changes. And the fact that we're able to do that, now offense is going to happen. And I'm sure people have kind of said that, like people have come up like, yeah, I was offended by what you said today.
Yeah, we got that a couple times.
But they still came back.
Oh, yeah.
They still came back. And so that just is proof of what God is doing, of how God is moving, about how God is causing the transformation to happen, the renewing of the mind to happen. And so that's just been really great to hear.
Yeah. You have another highlight that you want to talk about?
Another highlight. I would say currently, just having the opportunity to be up and be speaking. It's been some time since I've actually been on a stage, you know, speaking to the congregation. And so we're currently in our relationship series. And so just being up with you, speaking together has been really fun. I've really enjoyed it. I feel rusty. Like, I'm like, oh, okay.
You can't tell. You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
You're doing an amazing job.
Feel a little rusty, but, outside of that, it's just been a really great experience, you know, getting back to kind of what we did, you know, years ago when we used to speak to singles and married, and we used to do it together, and just the creative dynamics we would use and stuff like that. So that's been really fun, exercising that muscle, a muscle that I haven't, you know, exercised in a while. It's a little sore, but it's all good. It's been great. Yeah.
One of the things that I have loved about speaking together is that you always provide the different perspective. And I think that's always great when it comes to a relationship series, because, you know, the feeling could be, well, he's a man, you know? But they get to hear from you as well. So there have been such impactful things that you have said to wives, to ladies who are singles, and even to the men, because I think sometimes we've always talked about like doing a session where I talk to the women, you talk to the men, because sometimes it's good to get into the world of the other person and say, hey, this is probably how your significant other feels. And that's a perspective. And I think that's sometimes we have to do a better job as preachers, as speakers, to bring more people into the conversation. You see the woman with the issue of blood differently when you're a woman than you are a man.
Absolutely.
And I think that there is this dynamic that when I sit down to prepare, I'm usually preparing for different seats in the room. So I'm like, how would a African-American man that is 35, that has kids, has a wife, how would he look at this scripture? But then I'm looking at, what would a Hispanic female that is in her late 20s, how would she look at this? How would a single mom interpret this? And I'm always trying to pull in different perspectives, because what it does is it makes the scripture come alive and expands the meaning of it, as opposed to just looking at it for face value. I was a trainer in corporate America, so I think there's a part of me that just like learning theory and stuff like that I've learned over time to consider the seats that are in the room, so that you don't miss a whole lot of people when it is that you're talking. So I think you do a great job at that. You add a layer to it that couldn't be added if it was that you wasn't there. So I always like preaching with my preacher bae.
Wow. Preacher bae.
Always.
And being silly on the stage.
Oh, you know.
My goodness.
You know, I got to make you blush.
Had a ball together.
I got to make her blush at least 3 times. At least 3. All right. So a couple highlights. So this is my question. What has been your favorite series so far? So we got Get to Steppin', Greater, New, our Christmas series, Thrive, or Rethink Relationships.
So I'm probably going to have to say Thrive. It's my favorite one. It just really set the tone for the year. It helped to really give focus for the year. Just the flourishing, the excelling, and living out your full potential.
Come on, you got it. Yes.
I think that probably just was my favorite one, because I think it really, what I think it's doing for people, if you actually are going back and like listening to some of the messages, or really spending time meditating on the focus for the year, is it's drawing something out of us, drawing things out of us I think we weren't aware were in us. It's in, you know, I know we say it all the time when we end the podcast, when we end certain things, we talk about how you're not designed to survive, but you were designed to thrive. But I think it really was helping to paint a picture of that, that and really helping people to grab a hold of that truth.
Yeah.
You know, I think we live this life where I'm just trying to make it, you know, just trying to make it. Yeah. Eventually something's got to give, right. But we don't have to wait for something to give to thrive. And so I just think that that probably was my favorite series. Yeah. Yeah. Outside of the relationship series, that's also been great too. So.
Yeah, I think that was actually one of the most pivotal points to me in the series, when I felt like what the Lord shared with me is that this year shouldn't be the year that everything has to go great for you to thrive. That this year you can be between a rock and a hard place. You can be in a challenging season, but that doesn't have to steal your season of thriving.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Joseph went into multiple different places. I mean, he's at Potiphar's house and he's thriving. He's in the prison, and they say he like the number one prisoner. I don't even know what that means. Like, do you get like more food or?
That's funny.
I don't know. Like, you get more yard time. Like, I don't even know what that means.
Not more yard time. Wow.
But he's like the number one prisoner. So he shows you that he's in his father's house. He's in Potiphar's house. He's in the prison. And then he gets to the palace. Every single place, he's able to thrive. So we should not have to have perfect scenarios, perfect situations in order for us to thrive. We can thrive no matter what cards we've been dealt in this season. So, yeah, that was one of my favorite parts of the series, just personally.
What was yours?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, what was your favorite series for so far?
Man, it's probably gonna be you're gonna be surprised by this.
Okay.
But I think Get to Steppin' was my favorite one.
Really?
And I think it was because that was the first series when we started preview services. And it was like what we were living. It was getting out of the boat. We talked about Peter walks on a if it's you, bid me to come out on the water, and just the uncertainty of like, he didn't have like major faith and confidence. He was like, if it's you, how many of us are going to walk out in faith on an if?
You
right. Amen.
You, definitely
That's
you.
Absolutely me.
That's what you talked about this past Sunday. Talk about how you'll be the one that you won't skydive in real life, but you will skydive in the faith.
I will skydive in the faith.
You absolutely will. Just in the spirit, you gonna skydive. You're gonna jump out the airplane.
But I think it was just real time. And the revelation, I mean, I preached 5 parts on like 3 verses. And I think it was something for me that was, I was living it. We were in it. Yeah. And just the revelation that God gave, it set the tone to me. Like, yeah, we're doing this by faith.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when the winds and the waves come, which they will I let the winds and the waves outweigh the word? And we've been standing on the word. So I think that probably has been my, I would say is my favorite outside of the relationship series, because I think that's just a topic we love to talk about. Yeah. But that one would be probably my favorite so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Greatest challenge. We're trying to make these not be too long, but we want to give you the greatest challenge. What's been if you had to pick one of your greatest challenges so far, what would that be?
I think my greatest challenge, because I wear the hat of the volunteer coordinator, is getting more people to come serve. You know, I have a heart and an empathy and understanding that people are going through things in life right now, just with, you know, culture, economy, all of the things that are going on in the world. And people need to get that Sunday fill up, that, you know, get that encouragement, get poured into, get built up, you know, ready to go out and face the week. I understand that. But I think just trying to get people to transition from not being so much of a consumer to being a contributor to what we're doing at Thrive, to give up their seat for someone else to come and sit and get built up so that they can also get in the game and start serving. Yeah. So I think that probably has been one of my biggest challenges, or biggest challenge that I've experienced, is getting people to transition from being an intender to becoming a citizen, to becoming an ambassador and start serving. So I think, if anything, that has really been the focal point of my prayer when it comes to Thrive City, is specifically like, you know, God, we need some more people to come in and start serving. We need you to send your workers that are ready to go out and get the harvest, to be able to pour into people even though they need to be poured into, because serving does pour into you too. And I think that's something that people may not really realize. I think they see it as, well, I don't know much of the Bible, or I've only been a believer for this amount of time. But with what you do have, what has been poured into you, pour that into someone else.
That's good.
Through service. And so I think that's probably been the biggest challenge for me.
That's good.
Yeah. You?
So I mean, there's been so many challenges. But I think probably the one that stands out the most is that we're growing at a pretty good rapid pace for a church plant. And so not to throw numbers out there, because it's like these are our numbers, but we've had over 230 decisions for Jesus since we've started, 33 baptisms. We've had many people. I think I was looking at in over 110 people that have actually gone through at least the first classes of Destination Thrive. Yeah. So, I mean, we're growing, and with growth, the last thing that usually comes with people is finances. Because it takes time to trust a house, to trust a church, trust a pastor. Takes some consistency with people. And so we're growing at a pace where the finances aren't growing at that pace as well. But everything now has to increase. So if we're going to do anything for people, we can't just get 50. Yeah. We got to get 250, with kids growing, it's like,
need more space.
You need more space. You need more snacks, all of those type of things. And so, managing the finances, I was telling someone before, when we were working at the church, you manage the budget. But now, as the leaders of the church, you have to manage cash flow, which is a very different skill set.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, just, being prayerful, and see, what I know about myself is that I can be very impatient, and it's like, okay, Lord, I'm gonna need that now. I need that now.
No.
So being patient and making wise decisions where there's like, we could go do it right now, but then would that put us in a position where now I have to believe God to come through for this? And so, what I've attempted to do is just be in prayer and like, okay, Lord, is that something that we need to do now, even though I feel like it's urgent? And there are times where God is like, no, just trust me. Yeah. And so that's been a major challenge with, like you said, space, with not having our own facilities, so having to rent facilities, and it can be find facilities, and is the facility available at this time? And so all that deals with like a financial element. And so I think that's probably my greatest challenge at this point, is just continue to believe that God is going to give us what we need when we need it, and just trusting him with that.
Yeah.
All right, last question. We gotta make this one quick. What are you looking forward to? One thing you're looking forward to in the next 6 months?
The next 6 months, I'm actually looking forward to Easter.
Me too.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to the Easter celebration. That's the time where you get to set the stage, set the atmosphere for those who have not been to church in a while. It almost gives an opportunity, not for a first impression, but to make an impression.
That's good.
For the kingdom to make an impression. I mean, I think by itself, it should be an impression. I mean, we have the greatest news to be able to share, the greatest gift that's made available to all mankind. Yeah. So I think for me, that's what I'm looking forward to, just to see how that's all going to pan out. Yeah. We're currently in the midst of planning and putting things together, and that's exciting. Yeah. But it also is, I don't want to use the word stressful. It's, what word could I use for that?
Involved.
Sure. Yeah, it's very involved. Yeah. Yeah, because you want it to be right. Yeah. Not perfect. But right. Yeah. Just the right fit, just the right experience for those that God is going to send our way. Yeah. So definitely looking forward to Easter.
That's great. Yeah. Next 6 months, I think I am looking forward to Easter, absolutely. I think I'm also looking forward to continuing to build the culture at the church, because there's a level of excitement that just happens when you're starting. Yeah. But as your conversation with the individual about time, I feel like right now there's a little bit of time we're in, where we don't have anything like flashy going on at this stage. We're settling into weekly dynamics of just getting the Sunday experience as excellent as possible.
Yeah.
So with that being the case, you can lose that excitement. But I'm looking forward to being able to just continue to cultivate a atmosphere that doesn't need an event to keep us going.
That's good. Yeah.
But we are able to motivate ourselves,
Yes.
seeing the continual blessing of people. So we have our all huddle in the morning on Sundays where we share, hey, this many people gave their life to Christ.
Yeah.
This many people in City Kids did this. This was the testimonies that we heard this past week. We call it the Amen Corner.
Yeah.
And all of that is to remind people, hey, the reason we show up, the reason why we're here setting up at 7:00, the reason why we making this coffee for the umpteenth time, the reason why we can buy all of these mints and people come get handfuls of the mints and we got to buy them every week. The reason why we do that is because people are making decisions for Jesus. They're getting
life
closer
changes
to God.
happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's been the exciting part, and I'm really excited to just continue that process.
Yeah, that's great. It's
Yeah.
great perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you so much for tuning in to this first episode of season number 2.
Season number 2.
And we are looking forward to this next season. And remember, we always said, we will always say it. You were not designed to survive. You were designed to thrive. We'll see you on the next one.